let's go J.J. Watt, right? Let's go J.J. Watt because obviously got released from the Texans, right? Seemed as though it was a mutual kind of agreement, right? They both decided to part ways. One thing I thought was interesting was J.J. Watt released a video to give his side of the story. That just tells you everything you need to know about that whole organization in a nutshell. It's bad.
It's one of those things where like you look at we were talking about like beginning of the season. We were talking about one of the list of the worst organizations in football.
Yeah.
We didn't have the Texans on that list.
No.
I think they're up there at the top right now.
Definitely.
They look more dysfunctional than the Jets do. They look more dysfunctional than the Bengals ever did. The Texans look really bad. I don't think I've ever seen a team where everyone is like, do not go here. Right. Other than like Jacksonville. But that's like just like kind of like a known fact. You don't go to Jacksonville unless you're young and you want to make a name for yourself. Don't go to the Texans. Nobody. And everyone's getting out. J.J. Watt, your best, most talented player of your franchise's history, I would say.
Yeah, if not top three.
Him and Andre Johnson, I would say.
Yep, and then give Deshaun Watson more time.
Right. Deshaun Watson wants out. Andre Johnson's telling everyone to get out. And J.J. Watt's already out. What does that tell you about your organization?
Yeah.
Your three best players ever are out and leaving.
Yeah, it's pretty suspect. Now, and let's talk now. Let's go landing spots, right? Because I think there's a couple of dynamics when it comes to J.J. Watt that I think people might be overlooking in the sense of his landing destination.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people are kind of thinking this fairy tale sort of ending where he goes and plays with his brothers and things like that. But if you look at J.J. Watt, right, he's a guy who wants to accomplish things, right? Mm-hmm. Ever since college, going to Wisconsin, he went to schools that were competitive. He wanted to compete and win, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at the AFC, I'm not looking at any teams in the AFC for him to land. Why? Because I don't think anybody, unless he goes to the Chiefs, which is possible, they could definitely use him. I don't know if they're going to have the cap space. That's the issue that I think they might run into with the Chiefs. I just don't think there's any teams that are really going to threaten the Chiefs that significantly as to where, because I think J.J. Watt probably has 3 or 4 years left at maximum.
Sure.
4 at max, right? So you have to think, does he go to a place that has more talent and he runs in a rotation, like what we're kind of thinking? Or does he go to a place to try to have that sort of fairy tale ending and potentially not win a championship, which I don't see happening?
So there's a few things you have to think about when it comes to J.J. Watt's situation. And it basically comes down to what does he want, right? Do you want to win a championship? That's one. How many reps do you want? Do you want to be the starting end / tackle / outside linebacker if he wants to go to that point? Do you want to be the starter or do you want to be on a rotation?
Right. What scheme do you want?
How much reps do you want? What scheme do you want? Do you want to transition to more of an outside linebacker? Do you want to stay in the middle and kind of wreak havoc on that inside? What do you want to do?
What location do you want to be in?
Right. Where do you want to be?
Right.
Where's your family and all that kind of stuff? He's not a young guy. His wife plays in Chicago. Do you want to play? Do you want to play somewhere around there? She's a soccer player. All of these factors are factors.
Right. They're all in play.
In what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Is a championship that important to him? Does he really want to play in Pittsburgh to play with his brothers? I don't know that. It depends on where JJ wants. If he wants to win, he goes to Kansas City, he goes to Buffalo, or he goes to Tampa, honestly. Tampa or Green Bay.
Yep. Or the Rams. I think those are the 5 spots.
I think those are your top 5 win now spots because LA, imagine having J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald.
With Brockton as well on the other end.
Absolutely crazy. Green Bay could use a pass rusher, and they have a very talented team. Tampa Bay, obvious. He would be on a rotation there, but still, he would be a very vital part of that defense.
Especially if Shaq Barrett ends up leaving, which the more I'm looking at it, that's going to be tough.
He's been quoted saying he wants to get paid.
He wants to get paid.
It's time to break the bank.
Which could be interesting, right? Because I think the one thing with Shaq Barrett is they could pay him, and then they could franchise tag Godwin.
Could be.
So they could actually keep both of the biggest free agents that they need to keep.
It could be.
I would say, if you have to target one person, you got to get Shaq.
Yeah.
You got to get Shaq.
Because you already have depth at that receiver.
Correct.
So, but if he wants to go to Buffalo needs a pass rush. He will only make that team better.
Yep.
And he will bring a veteran presence to that defense that they do not have.
Correct.
It doesn't exist. And then Kansas City, obviously. They need a pass rush, and he would provide it. And they're a very brilliant team. Now, if he wants to lean more into, let's say, his feelings, right? Pittsburgh's a place.
Yep.
both of his brothers played for Pittsburgh,
Right.
and he would be lining up on the same exact side of the formation
As TJ.
as his brother TJ,
Yep.
Unless he were to swap to provide on
Right.
the other side, whatever. Green Bay also provides the feelings. Grew up in Wisconsin, played Wisconsin. He was a Badger, but Green Bay doesn't really sign free agents. It's not really something they do.
Nope.
Baltimore's another place you could go. They need a pass rush, and they're a very talented team.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of places. Apparently, he's been communicating with Tennessee on the
Oof.
Titans. Imagine going up against your old team twice and then giving them havoc. That's a feelings pick. So it really depends on what JJ wants, and does he want to get paid a lot? Then you
Right.
can't go to Kansas City then.
Or Tampa.
You can't go to Tampa then.
Nope.
So really depends on how he's feeling towards the end of his career, what his goals are, and what he's really trying to accomplish.
And I think one thing too with JJ, which is interesting, I think he needs to come to the realization, this is just between him and him, right?
Mhm.
How much do I have in the gas tank and how much can I provide to a team, right?
Exactly.
Because I think once he figures what he's willing to provide to a team, that's going to narrow the field too.
Mhm.
You know, I think if I were JJ Watt, I would try to get a championship. Because you look at what he's done in his career, he's been Defensive Player of the Year. Right, he's been to the playoffs.
Mhm.
Right, he's done pretty much everything you can do outside of winning a championship.
Right.
Right, and like I had said earlier, JJ Watt seems to be a man who wants to accomplish things, which everybody does, right?
Mhm.
And obviously, I would imagine, you want to check that last box to win a
Absolutely.
championship, right?
He's got the Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
He's been the best defensive player multiple times in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL over a season. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Correct.
So you can check that box off. Good job.
Already one of the
Obviously
best
been
players in the
multiple Pro
franchise.
Bowls, All Pros,
Right.
best player of a franchise. Like, go get that ring, son.
Yeah, and this is not just because I think Tampa Bay has won. I just think Tampa Bay provides the best opportunity for him
Yeah.
because it's gonna give him the best opportunity to succeed with the least amount of workload you can possibly carry, right?
Right. And-
they're not gonna need him to give you 30 to 40 snaps. Give
Exactly.
us 10 to 15 meaningful snaps. Do your job correctly, and we're gonna win a lot of football games.
And Tampa already won,
Right.
and they're only going to get better. That team was. There was like 4 players on that offense that are brand spanking new, and most of them are coming back.
And they really they even said it. I was watching, the sound bites from Tampa Bay when they won the NFC Championship game. Devin White was like, that wasn't even our best football.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFC Championship game, that wasn't even our best football yet. And I don't even think the Super Bowl was necessarily their best football offensively.
That defense maybe, but not
Defensively,
Right.
yes, but offensively, I think they could have done better, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're trying to win a championship, I think there's 2 choices: Kansas City or the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that's the best place where you can go, have the least amount of workload and wear on your body for your age,
Mm-hmm.
to still have meaningful impact on the team,
Correct.
and provide an opportunity to go further and win that championship.
Sure.
But I'm curious, man. I'm very, very curious.
It would be very interesting. It would be weird seeing him in a different jersey.
I have a feeling he's not going to go to either of those teams, though. I think he's going to make a bad decision.
Green Bay, Tennessee.
If he goes to
Pittsburgh.
Tennessee, that's a bad call.
Probably.
That's a bad
If
call.
he's trying to win a ring, yeah.
Because they've run that same recipe 3 years in a row and it hasn't gotten them anywhere further than the AFC divisional round
Mm-hmm.
or a championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't. They're not getting over the hump. If Kansas City's still there, they're not getting over the hump. Not them. Not that recipe.